Hey, so I'm going to now do this review of Tilt. So this is only for your HTML class. And so on the bottom of every one of these that I make or whatever information I give you for the particular class, there's going to have like a Tilt review assigned to it. And this is my first time doing it, so there's a learning curve, obviously. But what Tilt stands for is transparency in learning and teaching. Okay. And I learned about this at a conference that I went to last year. It was a little bit before Christmas, if I remember correctly. And I was just really intrigued by the whole concept of it, to have more transparency because, it improves learning and improves retention and, for students. Improves me as my skills as a teacher. As you guys may or may not know, most college professors, myself included, are not trained to be teachers. We invest in our time and our resources and go to professional development and conferences to try to figure out how to be better at it. But our training, our professional training, is in the particular field that we were in, and we just enjoy teaching. We enjoy sharing information, and our pathway becomes teachers. But the whole process of teaching is different than just learning on your own, and that's something that we have to work to improve on. But anyways, the whole concept is entailed is transparency in learning and teaching, and it aims and to improve higher education teaching and learning experience for faculty and students through two main activities: promoting students' conscious understanding of how they learn. I talk a lot about, writing stuff down. Don't just skim it, write it down, develop an understanding of what you're doing it. Rephrase it in words that make sense to you. Take out some of the fluff that, sometimes textbooks and stuff have, which is what I've been trying to do with like these bullets and just trying to take out some of the fluff. I don't know if it's working or not, but that's my goal of that. But just basically, one of the activities is just to make sure that, of how you guys learn. I'm a big advocate of writing stuff down, as I've said earlier. Some of you guys have told me learn in different ways. As long as it's effective for you, then that's perfect. Okay. And also enable faculty to gather, share, and promptly benefit from current data about students learning to coordinate their efforts across disciplines, institutions, and countries. So that's more of the bigger picture of it. So after the completion of our 8 weeks here, I believe, like I said, this is my first time doing this, that there's going to be a survey on, how this worked, me incorporating some of the techniques. There's no good or bad answers, be honest. But I believe that there's going to be some sort of survey just to gather this data. Okay. So, again, I want to have one of these at the end for every kind of assignment, just so you guys can be aware of why I'm assigning this particular assignment, what you're supposed to be learning. I know sometimes when you get so much so fast, it just kind of feels like you're going through the motions. You don't quite understand what you're doing, or more important, why you're doing it. So the purpose of this assignment, and this assignment was, again, just the review of HTML and CSS, just, to kind of refresh our memory from HTML1, is basically a review of HTML elements and review of CSS formatting. So the skills that you're going to gain is just a review. The knowledge that you're going to gain from this is a reminder and reinforcement of the terminology, reminder and reinforcement of the structure for HTML, and reminder and reinforcement of the CSS structure. And this kind of breaks down the task of the assignments. It's review the material, as I was given, in the above here. Practice writing code where indicated, which was, your assignment, and successfully pass the quiz. It says link will be provided separately. I believe I have it in Blackboard. Yeah, so again, it's in Blackboard. It's one of your assignments, and I'm still in student preview, so you should see what I see. Homework 1 was HTML, CSS review. It was that online quiz. You should have multiple attempts. If you don't, let me know. If you see anything that doesn't work, let me know. Criteria for success on the assignments. Successfully pass the quiz is with 80%. I want everybody to get at least an 80%. And writing code by hand, and it kind of goes back to that encoding thing, by hand and submitting virtually. It can be done on this document if you're able to print. If not able to print, you can just use any other paper. Just mark it accordingly. And most phones have good enough camera that it will allow you to take a picture and upload. So the grading on this. So part of this is, again, still part of the TILT framework. You can have excellent work, adequate work, or inadequate work. Excellent work will be complete the quiz with a score of 80% or higher, writing the code by hand on the paper and submitting per instructions. That will give you an AP grade. Adequate work would be complete the quiz with a score of 79% or lower and writing the code on an IDE and submitting. So you're not doing it by hand, you're submitting it. That will give you a CD grade. Inadequate work, which will give you an F, well, you will complete the quiz and score 59% or lower, or just not doing the quiz altogether. And will also give you an F if you just don't do the assignment. Okay, so Bloom's taxonomy is another way that we try to make sure that we're being clear on what the purpose of the assignments are with the TILT methodology, with the TILT framework. So this is called Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. And so I think I learned about Bloom's taxonomy as a professional development with Marshall University. So I attend even like Marshall University professional development, even though I'm just an adjunct there. So Bloom's taxonomy is a set of 3 whatever models used to classify educational learning objectives into levels of complexity and specificity. That word. So basically, it's a way to just to kind of break down what the objectives are. Let's go ahead and click on this Wikipedia. Okay, so it's hierarchical models used to classify educational learning objectives into levels of complexity and specificity. The 3 lists cover the learning objectives in cognitive, affective, and sensory domains. The cognitive domain list has been the primary focus of most traditional education, is frequently used to structure curriculum, learning objectives, assessments, and activities. So it goes down here about the knowledge and the emotion and the action-based. I'm not going to read this all to you. If you're curious about Bloom's taxonomy, if you just have an interest in things of this nature, then go ahead and check into it. But basically, I don't think I like this chart. Let's go back to another chart. I think this is the chart that I was using. So remember how I talked about in our previous classes about the who, what, why, when, where, and how, whenever you're trying to answer something or you're trying to develop an understanding of something. I kind of I don't know, not, I want to say it's similar, it's not, but it's basically it's categorizing. Like I say, who, what, when, where, how, and why. Here it's remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So some of the verbs that you can use for trying to create remembering, like while you're doing something, from the remembering perspective, be copy, defining, and so on and so forth. Same thing for understanding and applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So what I want us to do in each of these categories, and some of them may not have anything in a particular category, but what I want us to remember, our goal for this particular assignment is to define different HTML tags and define CSS syntax. I want us to develop an understanding of associating the relationship between HTML and CSS. I want us to apply by executing a properly formatted HTML and CSS page. I want us to analyze by organizing HTML structure with internal inline and external CSS. I want us to evaluate the HTML CSS basics, and I want us to build a web page with HTML and CSS. And I think this is the last assignment that I still need to upload in Blackboard, because I don't think I have that in there yet. But this is going to be just basically a simple web page utilizing some HTML and CSS. Nothing too complicated. Okay, so that is how Tilt works. And it's going to be, similar concept for each one. So it's a video. So day 2, let's open up that one. Okay, so wireframing and design. Okay, so you see you have the same thing set up, a tilt based off this particular assignment of wireframing and design. The purpose of the assignment is for you to develop the skills of what wireframing is, it's how it's used, Figma as a wireframing tool, and understanding of design and how it's used. Knowledge is how design is used for problem solving and what the goals are. So here's a task on your assignments. And let's see. And then we haven't talked about this yet, but I want you to create a wireframe for an update webpage on the Hawken College Bookstore. Completing the criteria is completing the 7 assignments as listed and submitting this assignments as given per instructions. And I think the instructions are here. Oh. Okay. I have to make sure I have instructions listed in here somewhere. Oh, homework. Homework number 2, wireframe of HC Bookstore. Okay, has the assignment of the Hawken College wireframe should be submitted. Okay, we'll talk about that later on. Maybe I should probably just separate this stuff. Anyways, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to go back to HTML. So I'll do one of these tilt reviews day by day just to make sure I'm clear, because sometimes you guys have probably seen me do it more than once. I think I share information, but I don't necessarily. So if you see anything that's unclear or ambiguous, let me know, because that is something that I know I'm kind of faulty on. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't always share that. So anyways, that was a review of Tilt for day 1. And then I'll do the review of Tilt day 1 as assignment 1, and do the review of Tilt as we go through the other ones. Okay, So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Let me know if you do have any questions, though.